Welcome to another episode of It's Debatable NFL Edition. I'm your host, Justin Jones, here with co-host Seb. We're here to recap the wild card weekend, and we definitely had some wild games. Where you want to start, Seb? Oh, yeah, audio. You turned it off.
Man, we're gonna start off right exactly where we have to start off with this atrocity of what the fuck happened last night on Sunday's 8 o'clock game with the fucking Patriots versus my Chargers, man. Before you say anything, and you have all right to say what you're gonna say. I'm just fucking disappointed, bro. Oh man, I wasn't about to show my face today, man, but that's very coward-like of me, and I'm not gonna do that shit. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna address what the fuck happened. First things first on my list of what happened last night. The offensive line should be a fucking shame, man, of what the fuck you let happen to your quarterback, man. As an offensive lineman, your job is to protect the goddamn quarterback. My quarterback, Justin Herbert, got sacked 6 times. Blitzed damn near the whole fucking game by this Patriots defense, man. Racked up a bunch of fucking penalties for false starts, man. Oh my God, man. That's one. Two, Justin Herbert, you're not safe. You're my guy, but you're not fucking safe. You played like shit. I want everybody to feel me to get that part of the way. He's a part of the blame pie. As a quarterback, man, you tried your best. You tried to get everybody up. Didn't work. But at the end of the day, as the quarterback, you get all of the blame. Like, you get majority of the blame. It's just how it goes in the NFL, man. The quarterback is the most blamed position in the NFL. So, Justin Herbert, man, you knew this game was on the line. Going on 3, you know how the media was going to portray you if you didn't win another fucking playoff game. And in this case scenario, shit the bed. We had 3 points. 3 points, just. Nobody scored 3 points this whole fucking weekend, but leave it to us to score 3 fucking points this weekend, man. Couldn't get shit going. Couldn't march down the field. Couldn't execute in the fucking red zone. None of that. My third point. My wide receiver core disappointed the fuck out of me. My wide receiver core disappointed the fuck out of me. And I'm going to point at my veteran Keenan Allen. I don't want to do it, but 3 out of 8 targets. We got nothing out of you. Quentin Johnson. When you gonna show for a whole season, man? When the fuck are you gonna show for us this whole season? I'm not talking about a game or 3, 2 weeks later. When? When is this nigga gonna show up? Hasn't. A bunch of missed catches yesterday, a whole bunch of drops yesterday, man. You damn near related to AJ fucking Brown, man. Get the fuck out of my face, man. Lai McConkey, 3 out of 4. Was a heavily target though. A lot of defensive coverage. Really just shutting down the offensive core for the Chargers though. I want to give a shout out to Christian Gonzalez. For that. Before he went down with concussion protocol. My running back situation, I just don't know. Just they tell me a guy like a Marion Hampton is playing, that he's active. Motherfucker comes in for 1 snap. So to the bettors on the books, I'm sorry that my incapable rookie running back decided to play 1 snap and then realized he couldn't get it going, man. Our running back core has been fucked up the whole year. So looking forward into the offseason, man, there's a lot that's going to have to change, man. If you don't feel like Herbert's your guy, then you got to change something. If you got to feel like the wide receiver core got to get a way better upgrade, you got to do something. There's something that's got to give, though. But the O-line has been shit the whole year. You got to address that, man, because your quarterback did not get six times, man. Watching the game, man, that motherfucker couldn't breathe. Credits to the Patriots defense, though. They like some fucking beasts hunting down their prey. But, man, I'm just disappointed, man. I didn't give a fuck if we was going to lose. My thing about that, as a fan, you're going to be delusional about your team. I don't give a fuck if we was going to lose. But the fashion you're losing is just it. I don't know which one is worse. Being up 20 in both of the wild cards games in the previous years, or just putting 3 fucking points up. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. But the floor is yours.
No, when it comes to the game yesterday with the Chargers and the Patriots, I think it was more about on the Patriots side of things than the Chargers. I think in that first half, the game was relatively close. It didn't really seem like either team could really get it going. The game was real slow paced, and both defenses seemed to have been doing their thing. But when both teams came out of the locker room, it was just two different teams. We seen just on the Patriots and their offense start to get going. Hunter Henry able to find the end zone. Drake Mace just started to get more comfortable and comfortable. And then I feel every time the Patriots would have a great drive, and the Chargers would come back, they just seemed more nervous. They couldn't really get no type of offensive game going at all. I'm as much as we could blame Justin Herbert. I mean, I believe that's their guy. So I don't think he's going anywhere, right? But I gotta look at the coaching staff, right? The offensive coordinator, for you to only be able to score 3 points in a playoff game in the year 2026, that's a problem. Right. So as much as we want to blame, the these players out there, it's for the coaches to put you in position to be the most successful. And just if I'm just looking at it as a fan, if one team finishes with 3 points, that just means that they just weren't prepared. So this whole team just has to look themselves in the mirror. I do like, some of those offensive options that you named when you was talking. I do like what they could do because there were some games right throughout the regular seasons where they looked real promising and they looked like, this was, the future. There's also been other games to where they just looked bad and they were losing to bad teams, right? Going into this matchup, I said the Patriots, for me to go against them, I would have to be foolish because these two teams was completely different in the regular season. One team was a lot better. So, just being a fan of your team, just like you said, you're gonna ride with them until the wheels fall off. But I think this was just a better team just playing an inferior team at the end of the day.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot. It's a lot to do in the off season, man. But 3 points, bro. 3 points, bro. That's the only part I can't. 3 points, bro. A fucking field goal by Cam Dicker. That's all we got. Nothing.
So at the end of the day, all you got was dick. Damn. I feel bad for you, Seb.
I don't even have a comeback. Nothing. Just pause, bro. I don't.
My fault. You
Usually I have a
said
lot
my
to
fault. Wait,
say.
hold on, my fault, bro. You said it. I'm
And
just
usually I have a lot to say in this case scenario. I don't, bro. There's only so much defending I can do, bro. I have nothing to say, bro. But I
listen,
had to get that out the way, bro, before I go on off. It was just on my mind, bro.
nah,
But
but listen, man. The Patriots are a dangerous team, and now I think them just winning this game, just in terms of Drake May's confidence, they just might be the most dangerous team in these playoffs right now.
mind you, the crazy part is they didn't even play a good game like that for real. They only put up one touchdown score that we didn't have. The rest was field goals, though. So for them to get a win like that, it's only gonna go from here, bro. I don't think they struggle again like that, man. Drake May had
But
two
but
picks.
but then look, you need a game like this when you go on that type of run. A game that's gonna be low scoring, right? You're gonna have to be real methodical out there. Shout out to someone, a guy like Stephon Diggs, right? All the playoff experience he has that came into fruition. Like he was great yesterday, right? Whenever they needed some of those big plays, he was there. So I just think once again, once they came out of halftime, these two teams just look completely different.
Completely different, man. We might as well have just fucking forfeited the game.
Forfeits insane.
No, we should have forfeited, bro. If we was gonna come out and do that bullshit, we should have forfeited.
Listen, man. Listen, man. We got a lot of football to talk about. We will talk about the Chargers and the Patriots as these players continue and going into the offseason. What's the next matchup, sir?
So we're gonna recap. I guess we're gonna move just backwards. We're gonna go with the Super Bowl champs last year, having a bye Cancun first round against the 49ers that, has been resilient throughout the whole season, man. No matter what injuries been in front of them. whether it was the Fred Warners, who am I missing? Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Parcell, George Kittle now. It really didn't matter who was in front of them. They found ways to manage to win games. Brock Purdy missed a bunch of time. Who else missed a bunch of time? I can't even name you. It was a fucking injury hospital, and yet they somehow managed to pull through. I'll let you start off with this.
No, when it came to this particular matchup, right, the Eagles and the 49ers, I feel a lot of the things I predicted happened, they just was not well from just from me watching Saquon Barkley, I think he's been kidnapped. Like that can't be the same Saquon Barkley that we seen last season, right? Just like I said, they was not able to get the run game going at all. So then, what was they gonna have to rely on? Jalen Hurts throwing the ball, and how much yards did he finish with? About 120.
All right.
Like he just him. I mean, there was Devontae Smith right making some big plays here and there, but AJ Brown hit that connection. They wasn't able to get it going, and that's why it was crucial for them to get that whole just AJ Brown debacle thing together before you even got into the playoffs. Let alone it even happening at all, because they just was not on the same page. Him just throwing it, Jalen Hurts, he wasn't able to get anything going for any type of long ball. So that game wasn't too high scoring either. And shout out to George Kittle, him just getting injured. Prayers up to him, but overall, the 49ers were still just a better team, right? They even with all the injuries that they had, they just looked completely better. Just shout out to the coaches. They had them prepared. And the Eagles got to just figure out what do they want to do. Them hiring this new offensive coordinator, I just don't think he's the guy, because once again, Saquon to just look how he looked, I just don't think they're putting him in the right position to be successful. But at the end of the day, shout out to the 49ers. They move on to the next round.
My take of the game was more so offensively, like you said, with the offensive coordinator and just how he has his team looking. It just hasn't translated into none. A lot of times I see Saquon Barkley trying to run on a third down rather than trying to get the ball out and march across the field for these drives. A lot of time this has definitely been predicated on Saquon Barkley running. You got to give the man sometimes for his legs to really just, you know what I'm saying? The amount of times you're gonna have a carry for rushes throughout the whole game, man, nigga gonna be burnt out. I mean, they'll be. I believe he finished with like 90 or 110 rushing yards. I forgot exactly how much he finished with. Though, but at the end of the day, that's gonna be late fatigue though. If we're gonna constantly keep going back to that, credits to a guy like Dallas Goddard who did showed up more so in that red zone. But other than that, I didn't see nothing from nobody else really. Devontae Smith had his here and there catches. AJ Brown, who's somebody who's been on this whole media rave throughout the whole season, talk about not getting the ball, being elite receivers, was heavily targeted for about 3 or 4 good catches to where the ball is literally in his hand. He's just missing the catch, and now he's having a fucking fit with a Kevin. Nah, what's that nigga name? Sirianni on the sideline. Oh man, it was just it was a mess though. And even with all that mess though, they were relatively still in the game. It wasn't like they weren't out the game though. They just couldn't convert, and that's a lot of times what this Philly offense had with a bunch of struggling. They just struggled throughout the season with that, man. Sometimes they'll look great. They'll look like the Super Bowl champions that we knew from last year, and other times they just fade. Jalen Hurts is not on the same page as a receiver. We're not getting the ball down the field as we should. It looked bad. For me, it just exposed Jalen Hurts' throwing abilities too. It exposed AJ Brown as much as I would hate to say. It just exposed AJ Brown that you did all that, and it's just a negative look for AJ Brown more so than I think anybody. I think if we're going to look back at this game, there's a bunch of times where we could have looked back and said, had you had catch these passes, man, we could have been in a better position to score in the end zone. But yep, I want to see what they do now. This AJ Brown plays last game with the Eagles. What are the moves they trying to look? How can we get Saquon Barkley back into prime offensive player of the year form, Super Bowl champion form. And where does this team want to go? You still got a good piece in Devontae Smith. You still got a reliable tight end in Dallas Goddard. Um, just adding more pieces, I believe, too. Just seeing what more we could get that could make this offense, deadly. Spreading out the pride, not just a heavy work on a guy like Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts for a fucking touchdown. Let's expand our offense more. Let's see what we get. And yeah, that's gonna be it for the season, man. Your Super Bowl champs from last year went down in the first round. Well, on 49er side of things, once again, teams that dealt with a whole bunch of injuries, and especially last night's game when George Kittle went down with an Achilles tear, and praise up to him, speedy recovery. But they could have easily folded. The 49ers could have easily folded. But they didn't. Matter of fact, they was playing tough for the whole game. And you got a guy like Demarcus Robinson stepping up into looking like a wide receiver one when you got guys like Ricky Pearsall out, Jawan Jennings, here and there. Um, George Kittle going down. Demarcus Robinson stepped up, catching for 100 in receiving yards, man. Was looking very elite in his route running, was getting very open looks. Brock Purdy seen a connection with him early, and they stuck with that too. So shout out to him. Christian McCaffrey just doing it on both running and in the receiving area. Somebody who's been electrifying for the whole year, somebody that's been that consistent factor for them for the whole year. And you just seen it with the 2 touchdowns that he had, and really giving this offense really that leeway to just trust him in any situation, whether it's in the slot or whether he's running. Christian McCaffrey has definitely been that X factor for this 49ers team, and it's going to be a very boatload work for him moving forward too, because just what he's able to do out there on that football field, it's just been nothing short of just phenomenal. It's a man that finished with 1,000 rushing yards and 800 receiving yards, man. He does it on both sides of the floor, man. He gets after it. If you need him to block, he's gonna block for you also, man. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey, though. I think he's an important factor in what happened in this game too, as well. Brock Purdy was doing his thing too, just being able to get out the pocket, get a couple of yards off the run, just being able to target his receivers. Now the workload is going to be on guys like Tunks too, who has been a stellar backup for George Kittle's in the amount of games that he played. Jawan Jennings coming through and having his second passing touchdown of the NFL playoffs, almost by a non-quarterback. This team is ready. This is a team that deal with a bunch of injuries, even on the defensive side. They play hard. They go out. They get after it too. And I'm excited to see what they're gonna do in this next round, though. But shout out to the 49ers, though. Definitely a team that plays with a lot of heart. No matter who's in front of him. Shout out to Kyle Shanahan and Robert Siles for just what they've been able to do with this team thus far, man. It's a great offensive team, a great system run by both offensive and defensive coordinators. And yeah, man, shout out to them.
Yeah. Once again, just in terms of the Eagles, I think they're just gonna have to move on from AJ Brown. We seen that even after the game, him, not doing no type of media. I just think he's mentally checked out, and when you have that type of talent, just being so disgruntled, I think it just messes with everything. Like he's too important of a player, playing too important of a position, just to be having these type of problems just on this type of team. So that's what I would do. But we're going to have to see what happens. But shout out to the 49ers for advancing. What we got next, Seb?
So going back, this is doing thing backwards, is the 1 o'clock game between the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguar team that was relatively hot coming into the season. I mean, coming into the playoffs on an 8-game win streak. First playoff appearance in like what, a year or two or so. And against the Buffalo Bills, who amounts pressure on Josh Allen to get it done this year, and relatively a to the wire game. For the most part, I think one of the better games of yesterday and for the weekend too as well. I just liked what I seen from both teams though, but it really just came down to just execution, and Jacoby Myers dropping that last pass really set them back though. My takeaway from this game is just Buffalo. I don't know what you're gonna get here and there from these Bills, man. Sometimes they look good, sometimes they look lost. And for me, I think it was just the heroics of Josh Allen last week. Just him and his connection with Khalil Shakur definitely helped them marching down the field. Josh Allen is somebody that I've seen this whole year just really use all his weapons. It's not like he has a favorite connection though. I mean, for the most part though, Khalil Shakur is your wide receiver one though. But I've seen a lot of times to where he'll defer to like a Kincaid or somebody else. But for the most part though, it was a struggle for even a guy like James Cook to break out a couple tackles. You got Jacksonville, who's number one in the rush defense. The highest rush that somebody had throughout the whole season was maybe 70 one time or 65. So nobody was able to get a 75 rushing yards on them throughout this whole season. And you've seen it. James Cook struggled. He didn't look like the James Cook that we know for the season. And yet they still found a way to win though, because Josh Allen just found a way to get it done though. On the other side of things for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I can't even be mad at that. I mean, as if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, you know you have a lot to look forward to in the future. Just with the work that Liam Cohen has done for this team, a team that went like what 3-15, 3-17 last year to being 14 and what 4. It's just remarkable work that has been done for this team, though. You look forward to the future, being that your wide receiver core have a guy like Parker Washington, who you could definitely say might be your wide receiver one. Just the work that he did on the ground yesterday, catching for 100 yards. He did something special out there. Travis Etienne has been your guy for the most part, though. I like the work he did. Even a guy like Bradshaw Tootin, that's your running back too. He did a couple of solid good runs for this Jacksonville offense. So I say this was like, it was a close game for the most part. I feel like this game could have went either way though, but it just came down to the last possession to where you don't have that much time left on the clock though, and you got to find a way to make something work. And just the fact that a late game turnover, it really just sealed the deal for the season though. You could add a special drive down the end for Trevor Lawrence if Jacoby Myers had caught that ball. But it didn't work out like that though. I'm excited to see Jacksonville's future. I'm actually more excited to see what Josh Allen is going to be able to do because in this case scenario, the pressure's on you to get it done this year. They say no Joe Burrow, no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson. They say it's open for you. Ain't no game gonna get easier though. I mean, that game already started off on difficult. You already have a record of 0-5 before this game in the postseason on the road. You haven't won a postseason game on the road in 5 straight games. So for you to come out and do this against this Jacksonville team, it ain't gonna get easier.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I think at the end of the day, this game came down to the heroics of Josh Allen, just what he was able to do. I seen one of the craziest tush pushes of my life to where before they reversed the call and said it wasn't a touchdown, him just damn near getting like a 12-yard tush push, like just him just literally putting this whole team on his back. It came down to him. Shout out to the Keon Colemans of the world, the Khalil Shakurs that definitely made some great plays. But Josh Allen, even just getting banged up in that first half, right? His hand getting messed up and everything, he was just able to find a way to get it done. Now on Jacksonville's side, I think this really just came down to who's gonna have the ball last, right? Jacksonville, they had a chance to once again tie this up and probably try to send this game right into overtime, but just that late pick just definitely messed everything up. And I think overall they had a great season. They, exceeded expectations that they even had just going into the season. I think they'll have, like everything you said, a great future just moving forward. But this game just came down to just the excellence of Josh Allen. We can nitpick it all day, but just like you also said, it's gonna continue to get harder. His next matchup, I believe, against the Broncos, correct?
I believe so. I don't know how this wild card schedule is. I think they're still waiting.
No, no, I think I could have sworn. I think I seen like NFL posts like already, like the flyer for it or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but once again, his next matchup is going to be even more difficult than this one. He's gonna need these, receivers to step up, right? This offensive line to continue to do their job, right? Give him time out there to do his thing, but we're just gonna see how far he can really go just go with this playoff run.
Where the hell am I seeing NFL playoffs? Man, we're not talking about the NBA. All right, let me. I'm still looking, still looking, still looking. Why the fuck can I see it? Okay. Oh, the Bills, yeah, against the Broncos. Yeah, you're right. So right now we got the 49ers versus the Seahawks, the Rams versus the Bears, and the Bills versus the Broncos.
Right. So, just like I said, that next matchup against the Broncos is going to be tough, especially with that defense and just the coaching of Sean Payton. But it's going to be interesting to watch.
All right. Moving on to now we're on Saturday. And Saturday's night game, the 8 o'clock game, was it the oh yeah, it was the Chicago Bears going up against the Green Bay Packers, a long time rivalry game. Just a game that, in my opinion, sort of was a good game. Chicago Bears coming down from 18, rallying has just been summed up their season thus far of just a team that's just not going to go away, a team that's just purely has explosive offense. And for Caleb Williams' first playoff game, I was very impressed. I like the way that he stayed in the game, though, no matter how difficult it got. I like the way this Bears team work. I think that just what they've been able to do thus far is just you know it's impressive for a team that really did a whole 360 from last year though, and just what they've been able to do thus far with the offensive pieces that they have is sort of like it's a good feeling. And the Bears' future is bright too. And I'm just looking at it as you could have just easily folded just said fuck it, like 18, there's no hope. But man, they was marching throughout the field. A lot of great plays from guys like DeAndre Swift, Colston Loveland, like everybody was major for them. In my opinion, I feel like everybody played a role. Caleb Williams did a great job of just dishing out the football to everyone to make everybody still engaged in the game. And they just picked apart that Packers defense bit by bit. On the Packers side of things, though, I think this is a team that came off to a hot start, a team that's just I don't know. Like I said, 1 second they look great, and then the next second they look a little bit weird. And in this game scenario, being up, I believe that they try to game manage it. You can't game manage against a team that's hitting on offense. You got to play your game. And I think that's where the Packers went wrong, though, because I've seen a lot of times they're trying to run. Looks like they're trying to kill clock. They're trying to, manage the scoreboard. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. And for them to just have they didn't even have a bad game in that first half. They was firing on all cylinders. They looked offensively well. You got guys like Jaden Reed, Christian Rodson back in the game. Matthew Golden scored his first touchdown of the season, man. It came in the playoffs, man. So you had everything looking bright for y'all. Y'all just fumbled it bit by bit. The defense fumbled it, and the offensive well too. Trying to manage the clock. You got to play like it's a shootout. You see this team picking up momentum. You seeing Caleb Williams is just going. Jordan Love as a quarterback. You gotta realize the situation at hand, man. You gotta be special. And in this case scenario, though, he wasn't special at all towards the end of the game, though. So shout out to the Bears for just being able to just do an 18-point comeback. Caleb Williams has looked like one of the better quarterbacks in today's NFL, and he showed up, man. So shout out to him and shout out to this Bears team.
Yeah, for the first 3 quarters, right? You was just thinking that Green Bay was going to win this game. They were just handling all their business, right? The defense was looking good. The offense was doing what it was supposed to do. And then I feel like they started playing just way too comfortably in that fourth quarter, right? The Bears continued to get more and more confidence, and they was able to pull off a crazy comeback. But I think this falls just more on the Packers because I think the Packers did show that they was the better team, but just when it came down to crunch time, they just completely wet the bed. Um, in terms of the coaching, right? I'm definitely seeing some people saying that they should fire the um the coach, I'm not sure about that because once again, for the most part, it seemed like they had everything under control, but just the belief that I feel like that coach just instilled in them, right? Especially just once they came out of halftime, we definitely seen the tides turn, and they just pulled off a crazy comeback. Moving forward, I don't think this is a recipe for success. They're gonna have to try to come out with a little bit more urgency. But they pulled off a crazy one. Green Bay, I feel like they gotta make some moves in the off season. I'm not completely just sold on this roster, but obviously you still gotta get, some important pieces back, just like a Michael Parsons. But I do expect Green Bay just to try to shake things up a little bit, just because for y'all just to lose in the fashion that y'all did, there's definitely just still some question marks just on this roster.
I felt that. I felt that. Green Bay, mediocre season, a lot of expectations, but at the end of the day, though, I do get it. Injuries is all part of it, but you got to just find a way. You can't be up 18 and do that. You looking like the Chargers last year, man. I'm gonna keep saying it. Well, moving on to the last game. Well, the first game that we had of the NFL playoffs, what is it?
The
It was
Panthers and the Rams.
Panthers and the Rams. An exciting game for the most part. I like the game. Just
No matter.
all credits to the Panthers too, who everybody had literally getting spanked, but they stuck in. They stuck in there. They fought. They came a little bit short at the end, but for the most part, though, mad respect to the Panthers, mad respect to Bryce Young and just the organization that they had for a team that is still figuring out though. Their record might not say it though, but definitely a better start from what they had in the past 2 years. We're talking about a guy like Bryce Young who almost lost his quarterback job to Andy Dalton. We're talking about Bryce Young, who people were calling him a bust at one point. And for him to go out there and just be able to just play a competitive game against a Rams defense that is tough to come by on. Um, I give mad credit to him watching the game, just the connection that he had with just his teammates. Guys like Jalen Crocker, who's came back from a horrendous injury and just managed to just pick it up at the right time. I'm looking at guys like Tedra McMillan, who has been stellar for them as their rookie wide receiver one. Though there's been a lot asked of him, being that first year wide receiver, and he lived up to the task a little bit too. A guy who I've seen just look like he got his running back one job back for the past couple of weeks has been Chuba Hubbard. Definitely played a major role too as well in this game as well. So I'm looking at that as the Panthers eventually, we're going to start taking them as a team that's just going to gradually keep getting better. They're a team that maybe we're going to have to look out for in the future because, the talent is there and they're still all relatively young. It's just putting the right pieces together and just figuring it out on the hop. So shout out to them though. They just ran into an experienced Rams team that just knows what it takes. No matter if the game gets a little close, no matter if it gets tight, they're going to just execute. And you've seen it in that first half too, where they was looked a little bit. They looked like they was about to run off with this game, and the Panthers made a run, and they stuck in there. Puka Nakua having just 2 touchdowns in the beginning of the half to get things going. You've seen guys like Kobe Parkinson get it going as well. A guy like Kyron Williams was able to just manage to get in the end zone too. Everybody gets a piece of the pie in this Rams offense, and this is something that we've been saying for this whole year. Matthew Stafford is just one of the ones that knows what it takes, especially in this case scenario too, being a Super Bowl champ too. So experience definitely played a play in this series. I mean, in this game on Saturday, that's what it looked like though. The Panthers gave their best shot though, and if it wasn't for a Jimmy Horn drop, we might be talking differently. But for the most part though, shout out to the Panthers for this, giving us a good game to start off the postseason. And shout out to the Rams too. I believe who they play. They play the Chicago Bears, which I believe is going to be a fucking shootout game. I hope a guy like Devontae Adams could pick it up even a bit more. Puka Nakua is going to be special. I seen that. I just think that for the most part, the Rams defense is going to have to deal with a fiery offensive power and the Chicago Bears, led by Caleb Williams too. So I definitely want to see how that goes.
Nah, yeah. When I'm watching this game, I was really thinking, right, is there going to be an upset? Are the Panthers going to be able to pull off something crazy? And right, it definitely came down to that fourth quarter, down to damn near the last minute. Now, once Matthew Stafford just got that ball back and just looked at the clock, he just played it perfectly. A perfect to me game winning drive. Because I felt once the Panthers was going to get back that ball and they had the little bit of time that they had, Bryce Young, this just being his first playoff game and him just being in this type of atmosphere, I did not think he was going to be able to get it done. If you look at the plays that was thrown out there and him just throwing it, nothing came to success. The Rams though, they gotta definitely tighten things up though. For them to be in a position to where they almost lost this game is definitely troubling because now, just like you mentioned, them playing the Bears next, right? Just a team that is better on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. They're not gonna have really any room for error, right? Matthew Stafford, you definitely see his hand get a little bit banged up in that first half. So hopefully everything is good there. But just like those offensive options that you mentioned, the Devontae Adams of the world, the Puka Nakuas, also even Kyron Williams, right? They're gonna need all three of those guys to be prepared and to get the type of production that's going to be needed. Um, the Panthers, right? Just at the end of the day, they had nothing to be ashamed about. They definitely right started off this season real shaky. And as the weeks continue to progress, they continue to gradually just get better. The football gods was on their side and they was able to get into these playoffs. For Bryce Young, once again, just to get this experience under his belt, I definitely think it's beneficial. The Panthers are just gonna have to answer some tough questions this off season, but shout out to the Rams, the better team, just won that game.
Yeah, right. But I think we covered most of these games. We have one more wild card game tonight, being the Houston Texans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe that should start up very soon. I'll just go ahead and give my prediction though. I think that this Texans team is going to just, walk in here, especially with their defense, and really just make it very tough for a guy like Aaron Rodgers to just do anything. I know Aaron Rodgers is special though, but from what I've seen on this Houston Texas defense, they're special too as well though. And I think they cover up most of the wins for these Texans for the season though. No discredit to CJ Stroud, somebody that's got it going for the second half of the season though. But I'm just looking at this Texans defense though. They are hungry. They look like a bunch of fucking wolves, like a fucking gorillas getting let out the cage, man. I don't know what it is, man. But that pressure that they add, they just play a physical brand of defense though. I want to see who's gonna step up for the Steelers though. I know getting DK Metcalf back is gonna be a positive for them though. But which DK Metcalf are we going to see? Are we going to see a solid DK Metcalf, or are we going to see a pedestrian DK Metcalf that looks at times look lost, look like he's not going to get targeted as much? I don't know, but the X factor is going to have to be. I don't even know who the X factor is going to be for this Patriots. I mean, these Steelers. My fault about that. I don't know who the X factor is going to be. Aaron Rodgers is going to try to do his best though, but you got to at the same time look at it. Who's going to be that definitive guy that really helps Aaron Rodgers out there? Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, who's been playing better for the most part of the season. Are we going to get special appearances from the tight end crew? Darrell Walker, Pat Fairmove. Wait, what are we doing? I think that's something I'm going to be interested in seeing. So for the most part, though, I think that this is going to be a good game. If Aaron Rodgers turn back the clock and then turn it to Green Bay Rodgers, man, the Texans might be cooked though. But for the most part, though, I like what I'm seeing from the Texans thus far. I do like the offensive. I like how the offense have been moving lately, especially CJ Stroud, somebody that started off crap to begin the season, and just his connection with Nico Collins. Just once everybody's healthy, it's a better team for this Texans team. It's a better look for them. So I'm excited to see, but I got the Texans winning.
Yeah, just like I said before, me just being completely biased and just being an Aaron Rodgers fan, I'm gonna say that the Steelers are going to win this matchup, but I'm definitely not a complete idiot. I definitely know what the Houston Texans bring to the table, especially on the defensive side. But just as much as we want to talk about the Texans defense, their offense is going to have to be there. What type of Nico Collins game are you going to be able to get? How is CJ Stroud just going to be, just moving in that pocket? I'm not CJ Stroud as much as over the last 3 to 4 weeks has continued to go back to that form that we seen in in his rookie season. We definitely cannot forget the first half of the season that he had. So he's definitely going to have to be there. Aaron Rodgers definitely has had an up and down season. Him just being at the age he's at, we can only expect so much. But I definitely think this is going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be real methodical on both sides. I think it comes down once again to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be relatively close. But at the end of the day, I think that the Steelers are just going to pull it off.
I ain't mad at that though. You know, you still got a veteran guy in the playoffs. This is Aaron Rodgers. What? This is his first year back in the playoffs in what? 2 years? 3 years?
Yeah, something like that. It's been a little. Yeah, 3, 4.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit minute though. But you know, once you get in those high situation games though, uh, who better to do it than feel me? One of the oldest guys in the league that's been there, seen damn near every coverage in the playoffs, seen everything, man. Experience is a hell of a thing to have too. At the same time,
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, I think the game starts at 8 o'clock. So it's definitely going to be a must watch. The winner of this matchup plays who?
they play the Patriots.
Yeah, so that's definitely not the reward that you want, but any team is going to be ready for that challenge. Seb got the Texans, I got the Steelers. Definitely tune in, but that's gonna do it for this episode of It's Debatable NFL Edition Wild Card bullshit. Hold on, y'all. Shit got fucked up. Wild card recap. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And please comment and let us know who do you have in tonight's matchup. And based off all these next playoff matchups, who do you think is going to win those? And who do you have winning it all? Let us know in the comments. Follow us on all social media platforms at It's Debatable double underscore. We out.
Peace. Peace.